What's up, guys? Happy Wednesday, December 3rd. Hope everyone's having a lovely day, lovely evening. We're going to hang out for maybe a half an hour or so. I'm going to, we'll read the practice player news from today, and then we'll kind of move into start sit questions and anything else that is concerning your guys' playoff push here. And it looks like, this is the week before my playoff start. So, this is for most of my leagues. Week 14 is the final week of the regular season. Playoffs are usually week 15, 16, and 17 for my league. So good evening to Sport Dog, by the way. I'm just going to pull up my news and notes here, and we'll read through this stuff real quick. If you guys are new to the Fantasy Fellowship, definitely check out thefantasyfellowship.com. I updated the weekly rankings today, and we got, just everything else is updated. The rest of season rankings, the start-sit charts, the post-game notes, everything's good to go on the fantasyfellowship.com. But I'm going to read these player practice notes from today. There's not a ton to be worried about. Like Arizona Cardinals, we got Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey Benson both not practicing today, which is quite of a concern. You know, I've been wanting to see Trey Benson now for the last couple games, and he just has not been able to practice and stay healthy. So as of Wednesday today, it's looking doubtful for Trey Benson. So we're going to probably see Bam Knight and Michael Carter take the load one more time. Emari DeMercado was limited today, which would just further complicate that backfield if he's active. So that's a whole moving thing. The Arizona Cardinals backs a lot to be figured out throughout the week. But Marvin Harrison not practicing with that heel injury. That's one to keep an eye on. We're going to like Michael Wilson if Marvin can't go. Let me see what else I can find here for us. Aaron Jones with the shoulder injury. He's limited today. So he's kind of back on track to being able to play. I don't know how much trust I have, whether it's his hamstring, his shoulder, which he's hurt a couple times. He just always seems to be getting dinged up. So we'll watch for Aaron Jones the rest of the week. Shout out Mark Andrews signing a 3-year, $39.3 million extension with the Ravens. That's pretty cool. This one we're going to have to keep an eye on. It's Woody Marks. He does not practice today. It's only Wednesday, so don't take too much with this. But the ankle injury, I believe he hurt the ankle in Sunday's game, was able to come back and finish the game, but not practicing today. We'll keep an eye on Woody Marks. Good news for Jaden Daniels. He's listed as limited today, so he's on track to maybe making his appearance this Sunday. Let's see what else we got here. Darius Slay was claimed by the Bills, by the way. Mike Evans limited today. I don't think he plays week 14. I think he plays week 15, though. So we'll see Mike Evans soon back with the Bucs. Good news for the Packers. They have some big-time offensive weapons practicing today. Jaden Reed limited, Marshawn Lloyd, who we have not seen yet this season, and then Matthew Golden. So they're potentially getting a lot of juice on the offensive side here. I'm expecting Jaden Reed to play Sunday. I'm expecting Matthew Golden to play Sunday. I don't think we're going to see Marshawn Lloyd maybe next week, but huge sign for the Packers gaining some big weapons on offense there. Chris Olave, he had the back spasms last week. He's not practicing again today. I think it's something he can play through, but we'll watch his reports the rest of the week. No Alvin Kamara for the Saints, so I think he's going to be on the doubtful side for me in my rankings. So another week of Devin Neal. Dylan Sampson does not practice for the Cleveland Browns. So if you're desperate and you need something, maybe Jerome Ford is worth looking into if Sampson cannot go. Chicago Bears, man, Kyle Monangai and Rome Odunze both did not practice today. So those are some big names on the Bears offense. So we're going to have to watch for them tomorrow. Again, it's Wednesday. Hopefully these are just precautionary things and letting them heal up. But Monangai and Odunze both out today. Parker Washington did not practice for the Jags. I don't think he's going to play. So we'll see about that the rest of the week. The Lions are listing Amon-Ra as questionable for tomorrow night. I don't see him playing on a short week here. Technically, it's been a full 7 days since his injury, but I don't think we see Amon-Ra. If we see him, you're going to play him. But we're going to have to watch for those pregame reports in Detroit. No Justin Herbert today, but they play Monday night. So honestly, they don't even have to put out a Wednesday practice report. So maybe we see Herbert practice tomorrow. Let me see what else I can find. T. Higgins was limited today. Dalton Kincaid finally limited in practice today, so maybe we get him back in that juicy matchup against the Bengals defense. No Drake London today, so not practicing to start the week. That's a bit of a concern. I'm going to probably list London as doubtful for the rest of the week. Deshaun Watson had his 21-day practice window opened today with that Achilles injury he tore last year, so that's something to keep an eye on. What else do we got? Adam Thielen was claimed by the Steelers last night, and I'm into the Tuesday practice stuff. So that's it for the practice news. We're going to get into it here. And oh my God, Frosty, I know. I don't think they should have traded him. It was his first game back. You miss a couple games, you got to kind of get ramped back up. And this offense has shifted a little bit since he's been departed. Just the more run heavy approach. You have Jacoby Myers being more of a focal point. Brenton Strange is also back as well. I'm still going to say better days are ahead for Brian Thomas Jr., but right now it doesn't look like he's going to be a guy that we drafted in the second round where he's getting 8 to 10 targets a game. Sure, he could have one or two of those games yet this year, but for now, he's a fringe wide receiver 3 flex, and he's pretty frustrating. So I'm waving the white flag on BTJ, man. It's frustrating. Which QB to play out of Dart, Nix, and Daniels? I mean, it's week 14 right now. I don't really want to think too far out. If I had to pick one, we're going to see what Jane Daniels looks like this weekend. So if things look good for him, we're probably going to rank him the highest. I'm just pulling up the week 15 schedule real quick here, Frosty. They're going to Giants and Commanders. That could be a fun game for the quarterbacks there. And Bo Nix is going to get, where's Denver? Packers, Denver. I don't know if I want to play Bo Nix against the Packers, even though it's in Denver. So it's probably Dart versus Daniels at that case. Let's see how Daniels looks this weekend. I'm probably going to say Daniels for today in London back. Yeah, it doesn't look good for Drake London, man. I would like to have better news, but him not practicing to start the week is not a great sign. If he gets limited in tomorrow, we may change our tune. But I don't know, man. The Falcons just don't have much to play for. They're going to get the Seahawks this weekend. A little bit nervous about London. And we got the old 18 PPR Superflex from Sports Dog here. We got Lamar Jackson. We got Jameson and Pickens, running backs Marks and Warren. Tight end is Brock Bowers. 2 flexes is, I'm assuming that's Chris Rodriguez and Chris Godwin. Bench is Burrow, Vidal, Shakir, Pierce, and London. Any lineup changes. So, if it's a super flex, are we starting Joe Burrow? I'm confused here a little bit, my man. If it's super flex, we're getting Joe Burrow in, right? I don't think London's going to play, so I think the lineup that you have here in front of me right now is probably what I would do. I'm fine with Chris Rodriguez against the Vikings. I'm fine with Chris Godwin against the Saints. Alec Pierce maybe against the Jaguars, if that's who that is, could be kind of interesting there. But I did rank Godwin pretty highly, kind of really close to Alec Pierce, I believe. Let me just look at my rankings this week for the receiver position. Let's see. I got Chris Godwin, wide receiver 27, Alec Pierce, wide receiver 31. So I think you got this set up pretty well. If you wanted to swap out Chris Rodriguez, he's going to be like 60 yards and a touchdown. So it's really like an 8 to 12 point range for Rodriguez for the most part. If you wanted to play Alec Pierce over Rodriguez, I'm not opposed to it. But let's keep an eye on Drake London the rest of the week. And hey, good evening to Double Tap. Hope you're doing well. How do you feel about Isaac Tisslaw if there's no St. Brown or Khalif? I believe they already ruled out Khalif Raymond. So we're going to see Tisslaw and Tom Kennedy be the primary second and third receiver for the Lions tomorrow night. Khalif Raymond ruled out. Brock Wright also ruled out, and same with Shane Zylstra. So they're really hurting at tight end and receiver coming into this one. I personally don't think Amon-Ra plays. If no Amon-Ra, Tisslaw, I have him ranked. Let me see here. I have him ranked wide receiver 46. He's right next to guys like Devon Vele, Darnell Mooney, Jordan Addison. I'll probably move Mooney up a tad if London is confirmed out, but he's in the tier of like Franklin, Addison, Mechie, Burden, those kind of guys. So he's not like a big play, but he catches touchdowns. And I think against Dallas, there's a good chance that he does catch a touchdown. So he is a strong wide receiver 4. I don't think he's a top 40 play for me just because of the unknown level of this, but it could be a fun start to the week if you do put in Tesla and he gets a touchdown. And hey, I appreciate the comments, Allison. I don't know what's going on here. YouTuber, listen. Yes, we are listening. Garrett Wilson, we're the stash. I think so. I mean, if you got room on your bench, you can, and he's out there. The playoffs start next week in most fantasy leagues. So yeah, let's give him a stash. Yeah. A little bit different injuries, I think. Terry with the quad injury. I think he's dealing with a knee injury for Garrett Wilson. But I just the passing game is a lot better, and more fantasy points are going to be had from Mariota, Jaden Daniels than the Tyrod Taylor offense. So I don't know if I would compare the two exactly, but I think Terry McLaurin did rank out pretty well in my rankings this week. I got him at wide receiver 15 against Minnesota, and don't have Garrett Wilson on my rest of season stuff, I think, yet. But we'll find out if Garrett Wilson's on track to play. I think next week he can return. I can't remember exactly, but I think it's week 15 that we could see Garrett Wilson back. Let me actually look that up real quick. Let me go find Mr. Garrett Wilson. Alrighty, so his last game, did he play in that New England game? Yeah, so next week is the earliest. So maybe he gets his practice window opened up next week, and then I'm gonna say maybe he plays week 16, 17, but they're really at the end of the season here. I don't know if it's smart for him to come back out and play. So it is a gamble if you want to hold on to Wilson and wait for the reports next week and see if he's activated to practice and things like that. But again, I think it's week 16 that I would expect Garrett Wilson to maybe suit up and play for once. If you guys play in leagues and the waiver wire is running tonight, like one of the leagues that I'm looking at, I got Devon Vele, Isaac Tislaw, Pat Bryant's out there. I like him quite a bit too. I would probably hold out for Devon Vele instead of playing like a guy like Isaac Tislaw, just with the Chris Olave back stuff going on. And then, man, like the Vele looked really good last week. He caught all 8 of his targets. He got a touchdown, 93 yards. And he gets a pretty nice run the next few games here. We like the Saints schedule quite a bit. So I would probably have a little bit more chips on Vele. Some names I would play Adonai over. Let me look. I have Adonai Mitchell here ranked at, I've got him up at wide receiver 25. So I have him ahead of Chris Godwin. I have him ahead of Rome Odunze, ahead of Deebo Samuel, ahead of DK Metcalf, Alec Pierce, Brian Thomas, Quentin Johnston, Jaden Higgins. I think Mitchell's up there, and he's got a pretty safe floor, 6 to 10 points where, as long as he gets us 6 to 8 points, it's not a complete dud. And we've seen the ceiling here. It's 100 yards and a touchdown for a guy like Adonai Mitchell against Miami. We still really can't name a lot of Miami defenders back there. So Mitchell, he's a strong end wide receiver 3 this week. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit last night. It is the New Orleans Saints schedule that appears to be lining up the best, especially week 17. They're going to get the Tennessee Titans. Week 16, they get the Jets. We'll see about the Carolina game. I think that would be a low-scoring game, Carolina in New Orleans. And New Orleans did beat Carolina a few weeks back, kind of week 10 it was, almost a month ago. So we do like the Saints quite a bit. And then if I'm looking real quick at our Buccaneers schedule, let me pull that up real quick. So Tampa obviously hosting the Saints this weekend. I mean, I'll start Tampa Bay against the Falcons in week 15. I don't think I'm scared of playing Tampa Bay. It's in Carolina week 16, but I don't hate it. And then they get the Dolphins week 17. So that is a strong opportunity there. And I know the Saints don't have anything to play for, but neither do really any of the other teams that they're going to end up playing. We're talking bottom of the barrel teams, and I think the Saints are probably better than the Titans. I think they're better than the New York Jets. So I don't know. I'm willing to hold on to him and see where it goes. I mean, it's still a couple weeks out, and we can monitor how the Saints look over the next 2 games as they're playing Tampa Bay and Carolina. But I think they're better than the Jets and the Titans, at least right now, and we'll see if the Jets get healthier. Let's look at the Bears schedule week 15. Chicago at home against Cleveland. Yeah, that's going to be a fringe top 5 defense for fantasy that week. I don't know if the Bears have a good schedule after that, but if you want to Yeah, and I know the first round of the playoffs is week 15. If you want to make sure you get a good defense in week 15, I would do so. They're going to get the Browns and the Packers and the 49ers, so it's really only week 15 that I would be interested in the Bears. Other defenses you can maybe pick up this week. Um, Jacksonville's going to get the Jets at home in week 15. That one could be available for you guys. Again, I like the Saints. It is Carolina, but I still like the Saints. The 49ers, that's another defense that you could look at. 49ers are going to get the Tennessee Titans week 15 in San Francisco. So that one might be floating out there. I think I'm open to Dallas. Dallas is going to be hosting the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. So Minnesota offense is arguably one of the worst in the league right now. So those are some sneaky other week 15 defenses for you to take a peek at. And yeah, like I'm trying not to like psych myself up and make this game bigger than what it is. It's it's only week 15, but this is a huge game in the NFC. It's probably the biggest game so far of the NFC for the first. I think it's for the first overall seed. I guess if the Rams or whoever want to win, that could happen too. But NFC North on the line. And we get to kind of measure these two teams, and then we're going to see them play again back in week 16. So we're in the fun part. My favorite part of the season is right now. After the Thanksgiving weekend, the games ramp up a little bit, and now we're fully into these, these playoff games. And there's a lot, like the schedule this week alone. Last Sunday was bad. There was bad football games all across the board. But this weekend, we're getting Dallas, Detroit. That's an NFC wildcard game right now at this point. We're going to get Cincinnati, Buffalo. That's Cincinnati's got to keep winning to stay alive, and they're 2 games out of the AFC North. So that's a mini wild card type playoff game. You have Tampa Bay trying to beat New Orleans. I don't know if that's a playoff game, but I'm excited about that game. And then the Colts, Jacksonville, that's a banger. AFC South on the line. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, AFC North on the line. And then you got the AFC or the NFC North with Chicago and Green Bay. And then Sunday Night Football, we got Houston, Kansas City. Monday Night Football, we got Philly, LAC. Like, there's so many good games this weekend. It's probably one of the best weekends of the year so far for football. That's a great question. The outlook was still pretty good last week. It was just finally a game where Chuba was healthy and he looked really good on his touches, and they kept feeding him. The overall snaps, touches, and routes, let's pull those up real quick, and I can read them for you guys. We finally saw Chuba out-touch. They had the same amount of touches. So Chuba had 17 carries. Rico had 18. They both had 2 catches on 2 targets. And Rico still got 10 fantasy points. Chuba got 20 because of the big, long touchdown run. But I think what sticks out here is Chuba out-snapped him pretty significantly. 38 snaps to 27 for Rico. 15 routes for Chuba, only 6 for Rico. So it's hard to project what's going to happen going forward. I think at this point right now, it's a 50-50 split. I'm going to rank Rico Dowdle a little bit higher as a low-end RB2, and I'm going to put Chuba probably as a high-end RB3, a fringe RB2. Let me look at my rankings real quick for this week. And usually on Wednesdays, when I first do my rankings, I sit with them for a little bit and I try to figure out what to do with these things. And I realize I need to get Mr. Hubbard a little bit higher. Where is Chuba Hubbard? Did I not update this? It looks like I might have missed something here this week. Where are my guys? Here, I'm pulling up my my Google Sheets here. Oh, they're on bye. That's why they're not in the rankings this week. Of course, they're not in my rankings this week. But yeah, I think there could be a shift going forward where it's more 50-50. You're not getting that top 10, top 12 running back that you had in Rico the last month and a half or so. It is frustrating, but it's good for the Panthers overall. And hey, good evening to Daniel. Hope you're doing well. And I agree, man. I've been saying this for the last 3 years. Jaylen Warren's a really good player. They need to make him a more focal point in their offense. I think where they're struggling, and they did get Adam Thielen back. So if you guys want to add Adam Thielen, I think he's a guy that can kind of come in and maybe not be in our lineups this week. But if he comes in and he plays this week with Aaron Rodgers and he looks good, he's going to be the clear number 2 receiver, and he might actually start leading this team in receptions and targets right away. So I think Adam Thielen is one to pick up in deeper formats if you need receiver help. But I'm very frustrated with the tight ends and how they've been using them, because Pat Freiermuth has been a fantastic tight end in his young career, and they're kind of just forgetting about him. They're not, they're divvying up all these tight end snaps to Jonnu and Pat and Darnell, who I like Darnell, but they need to figure out a way to just get these guys unlocked, because they're kind of just blocking everybody and getting their best players off the field, man. I saw something today where someone was saying Tomlin would be a good fit for Penn State. I struggle to see Mike Tomlin go to the college level, but we could see that. I think he would be a good college head coach, especially for Penn State. That could be an attractive option for him. I don't know where it's hard for me to close my eyes and see him coach anywhere else in the NFL, really. I don't know where. Like, maybe, would he go to Atlanta if Atlanta fires Raheem Morris? Would he go to, I don't know. He probably wouldn't go to Miami. I can't see him going to some of these other not so good teams. Like, maybe the New York Giants would be the team that he'd be like, yep, I'm gonna go to New York and help fix the Giants. They got a good core of players to build around. Like, that might be the one that makes the most sense, the New York Giants. But yeah, the seat is definitely hot. I think the Steelers do have some interest in Will Howard, and unfortunately, they're not going to get a top 10 draft pick where they're going to be able to make a quarterback pick that could actually matter. Hitting a quarterback outside the top 10 is not very likely, but we could see them draft one again in the first round this year and kind of go into the season. But I'm also not really ruling out the Aaron Rodgers thing coming back, but that would probably require Mike Tomlin having to come back as well. It's just the Steelers have so many issues on defense. That's been the hallmark, and that's been the reason why they've made the playoffs and had so many straight winning seasons. And all of a sudden they don't have a top 10 defense, and they're just not firing on all cylinders. Yeah. Like, it's just, I close my eyes and I think Steelers and I just see Mike Tomlin's face. Which one's which? Jim's in Baltimore? Jim McMahon, Baltimore? Not McMahon. Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh's in Baltimore. I always get the two mixed up. Now I need to double check this. Where do I see the freaking head coach? Yeah, John Harbaugh. John's Baltimore. But we will be going live tomorrow night, guys. Thursday evening, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. If you guys want to hang out and look at some things, we'll cover the player practice news for the day and answer any more start-sit questions you guys have. As far as everything on the Fantasy Fellowship, everything's up to date. Start-sit charts, weekly rankings, rest of season rankings, and then my Dynasty rankings are fresh out this week for the month. So a lot of good stuff there. I did update the receiving stat stuff on the free content, the fantasy points allowed, DraftKings game lines. All that stuff is up to date. I'll probably do some tinkering tomorrow with the game lines. But I'm really this is going to be a really good week of football, and it starts tomorrow night with this NFC wildcard playoff atmosphere here for Dallas, Detroit. We're going to be watching Amon-Ra St. Brown, but we'll see what happens. But if you guys don't have any more questions for me, I'm going to get out of here for the evening. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. Again, we'll go live Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Come with your questions, hang out for a little bit, and we'll hang out before the game. So again, thank you for your time, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.